Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to your brand new Draft to Glory franchise mode here in NHL 26. So, in last episode, if you did not catch it, we had the season simulation with the new coaching staff and a little bit of a reworked roster, and our team actually has made the playoffs for the first time in franchise history, which is quite surprising. The main reason why is because our offense took kind of their next step. As you can see, we finished 11th in goals for, 18th in goals against, 23rd on the power play, and 19th on the penalty kill. And it was just a really interesting season. I didn't expect to make the playoffs, especially with a 39, 32, and 11 record, but we have made it. A big reason for that is, like I said, we did get some better offense on our team. And the main guy that led our team was our defenseman in Bob Paco, who had 81 points this season and was plus 29. Very close to probably being a Norris Trophy candidate, but unfortunately for him, Quinn Hughes was still in the league at this point. You also have Hromis on 69 points and 33 goals, so he found a way to start scoring again, which is great. Klinga continued to be what he has been doing. Roger Green took a big step this year. Benak continued to pick up around 60 points. So in general, this team is definitely getting a lot better in terms of their depth scoring, and I'm very excited to see if they could do anything this postseason. I'm not going to put a lot of pressure on them to actually do super well, but I'm hoping that they could obviously get at least one win in this playoffs, because obviously we're going to be taking on a pretty damn tough team. But also another thing that was a big surprise, as you can see, Forster had a .919 save percentage. Obviously not the craziest season for his goaltending totals in terms of wins and losses and all that, but he had a very good save percentage and a very good goals against. So definitely looking like he's going to be our number one goaltender until one of those elite prospects develop into a starter. But Forster is a pretty damn solid one right now. So I'm hoping that everybody can continue to do what they did during the regular season into the playoffs. But obviously, like I said, we are going to be taking on a very tough team in the first round in Montreal, who has won 2 Stanley Cups already in this universe. And I'm pretty sure they've been to a lot of Stanley Cup finals as well. So it is going to be a very tough task for us in our first ever playoff series. But it'll be interesting to see if we could at least take one game to at least get ourselves situated where we're winning in the playoffs and set ourselves up for some success in future years as well. So yeah, anyways, with that said, let's get in your guys' comments, see what you guys have to say about last episode, and then we will get primed up and ready to go for round 1. So the first comment is from Sanotaku, who says, like you, I did not expect this result. If nothing else, Tourney should win the Jack Adams walking away. And yeah, I think definitely Tourney definitely should win the Jack Adams this year. Obviously, taking a team that looks like basically like this into a playoff spot is kind of remarkable, because our bottom 6 is still a little bit weak. Obviously, our team is definitely coming together, though. But to have a bottom 6 where you still have like a 77, a 73, a 74, I think that's pretty impressive to get this team into a playoffs with that. And then defensively, obviously, we're pretty damn built up. Goaltending is kind of a little bit on the weaker end side of things, but to get this team into a playoff spot is quite impressive. So I think Tourney definitely winning the Jack Adams would be something we see this year. If it doesn't happen, I would be quite surprised, to be honest. The next comment is from Ice Attack, who says, congrats on the team's first playoff appearance. And yes, sir, I am very excited to see how they could perform. I think the one thing I'm a little bit maybe worried about is maybe somebody like Law taking too many penalties in the playoffs, but at the same time, it's our first experience, so I guess we'll kind of see what this team could actually do in the playoffs and how we should proceed in terms of growing this team, because I don't really know what necessarily we need to draft in this upcoming offseason as well. But obviously, if there's an area that's definitely a big weakness in this playoffs, we know that we need to target that area. So it'll be a good learning experience for both us and also for the team itself. The next comment is from Mime the Quiet One, who said, who would have thought that Paco would break through 80 points? Not me for sure, but I'm loving this guy every year he has played. Also saw him at 90 overall, which I don't get why it isn't, or why his role isn't top 2 defenseman yet. Also, I believe that Benak should stay for a while longer, considering his contract price got cheaper. The only problem I see down the road is that Green takes the 1C spot, and Benak would be overpaid, but I think that's worth the risk. We could only hope that to beat the Canadiens in the playoffs as a 2-time cup winner. Also, I noticed that when we were competing for the playoffs, around 20 wins. And yeah, I think I noticed that we were actually winning a decent amount and getting some points in the extra frame. And I was like, at that point, I was like, we're probably actually closer to the playoffs than we expected. And then I noticed all of a sudden that we were actually like only 2 points back of a playoff spot, and we were in a wild card spot. And I'm like, oh man, this team actually might end up making it. But yeah, he was bringing up Paco's amazing season again. And I think the reason why Paco's not on a top 2 role is because he's probably on a lot of statistical growth. If he wasn't on statistical growth, he'd probably be listed as a top 2. But hopefully next season he's listed as a top 2. But you could see he took a huge step up this year, almost doubled his points from last year, which is quite insane. So very excited to see what he could do in the playoffs. I think he could definitely be a very big difference maker from this team on that back end. And then he was mentioning about re-signing Benak, which I agree with. Obviously, Green, I think, at some point will be listed as a first liner, but right now he's actually still listed as a third line scoring forward, and I think it's basically based on statistical growth as well for him. So he could still be like maybe an 82 overall, which is more of a third liner. So obviously, if we end up losing Benak in the offseason, it would be kind of substantial to lose him. So I think obviously we will give him a contract extension in this episode and see if he wants to stick around, because obviously I don't think we could lose a guy like him at least this early on. The next comment is from Ragamuffin Gunner, who says, you only need one good goalie and a backup. You need 6 good D and 12 good forwards. And I don't think you really need only one good goalie and a backup, because to be honest, you need to kind of have a lot of good goalies in your system just in case, because even if you have one elite goalie or multiple elite potential goaltenders, some of them don't actually assimilate like elite goaltenders. Like I've definitely seen, at least in past games, usually the guys with the lower potential assimilate better. Like a couple draft glories ago, I had a goaltender named Taze in Anchorage, and he ended up becoming an elite playoff goaltender and winning me a Stanley Cup with that team. So I wouldn't really full on trust that DeFazio, Gotch, even Shimmick, I guess technically, and stuff like that, or Ambul will be that next guy. There's a chance that even somebody like Forster actually should be that guy and might simulate a lot better than the other guys in the playoffs. Maybe Kavapol's the better playoff goaltender. So even though technically we drafted a goalie high up, I don't have any idea on which goaltender is going to be the one that actually takes his team and is that elite goaltender or that backup goaltender. So right now, we could have the worst goalies in the NHL at this moment, or we could have the best goalies still coming, or who knows, maybe none of these goaltenders will actually be good in the playoffs, and we still need more of them. So that's why I tend to draft a decent chunk of goaltenders, just in case one of them actually ends up simulating well in the playoffs, especially. The next comment is from Mike Garbrandt, who says, now the problem with too many goalies, all the same overall, they'll ask for a lot of money as well. Play Benak, you can't replace anyone yet. And yeah, I definitely plan on paying Benak. But yeah, there is a lot of goaltenders in the similar overall range. I think the plan is still this offseason is to let go of DeFazio still. I know some people probably want me to hold on to him because of the elite potential. But being 24 already, I just don't think there's a chance we could really hold on to him. It's either we basically let go of Kavapol or we let go of DeFazio. It has to come down to that, because in the AHL next year, basically we'll have to sign Ambul to his ELC if we want to, because he's a 60 overall at 20. I don't even know if he's going to develop, be honest, at that point. But he probably should be in the AHL rather than being let go to free agency. And then you have Gotch, obviously, that's similar to Cantor. Cantor could get scratched again if we do sign Ambul, but obviously at the same time, maybe it's not a great idea to do that. Simic, at least, he has still a couple more years that we'll leave him unsigned for, but I think we have to think about deciding between getting rid of Kavapol and DeFazio, or we can let go of both of them and bring Cantor up to the NHL, and that will still free up another roster spot. We can't have like 7 goalies under contract, so we will have to let go of a goalie regardless when we get to the offseason. And the last and final comment is from Dylan Burrows, who says, now that we've made the playoffs, next season we have to turn on injuries. And I think that's a good idea. We'll probably turn on injuries next season. Let me know if you guys are against it at all that we turn on injuries. But we do have a good roster on paper on the NHL. We have some good prospects in the AHL and unsigned, of course, as well. So we're probably at the stage where we could start to turn injuries on, but obviously, hopefully it's not so high that everybody's getting injured every single game pretty much. So we'll probably set it to 9, and then maybe we suffer a couple injuries throughout the season. But I think we're definitely at that stage where we could turn it back on. So yeah, let me know if you're against it at all. If you are for it, obviously, let me know about that too, because I'll turn it on for next episode. So anyways, with that said, let's take a look at the Montreal Canadiens again, just in case you guys forgot about what the roster looks like. And then we will see what this team can do in the playoffs, see if we can embrace that cheese status, because technically we are definitely the biggest cheese team out there, but it'll be interesting to see what the team can do in the playoffs. But This is Montreal's top six, as you can see. First line of Slavkovsky, Demidov, and Caulfield. So obviously a tough line to contain right there for sure, especially with Demidov being a 95 and Caulfield being a 93. Second line has Nick Schmaltz, Nick Suzuki, and Adrian Kempe. So a little bit of a weaker second line, but Suzuki's obviously really good still. And then their bottom six is kind of weak. So this is maybe an area that we could expose a bit. As you can see, that have Ackerland, Beck, and Roy, one of the two. And then a fourth line of Kravtsov, Peterson, and MacArthur. From a defensive standpoint, they still have Lane Hudson and Noah Dobson, so obviously these guys are tough to play against. Their second pairing's pretty good too, of Barons and Reinbacher, and then their top six pairing of Barry Hood and Trevelyan is a little bit weaker, but obviously it's still a great defensive core all around. And then goaltending-wise, they do have Dustin Wolf and Mads Sjogard. And then here's their scratch options: Henry Bruskowitz, Matthew Lindros, and Breck Leski. So obviously, we're definitely big underdogs in the series, but if we could find a way to contain their top players, I think we have some players that actually could be better than most of theirs. It's just, yeah, basically all their 90 overall, 89 overall guys. We don't really have a lot of people to compete with those players, but I feel like on paper, there is some depth options in our bottom six that are better than their depth options. Like, it's kind of closer in the bottom six than you would actually expect, but their top six obviously is a lot better than ours. And then same goes with that defensive core. And goaltending is probably kind of close to even, because we have an 82 and a 77. They have an 84 and a 79. So theirs is obviously a little tiny bit better, but not by a lot. So with that said, let's get in this matchup and see what we could do here against them. They were the best offensive team in the regular season. So obviously if we play terrible defensively, it's going to be really bad for us. So I wonder who's going to score the first ever career playoff goal in franchise history, because I don't expect us to get shut out in every single game, but I do expect us to potentially get steamrolled. That's why I'm saying I want to have at least one win in the series just to make us get some confidence for next year and years to come. So I'm excited to get into this. My voice is not excited to get into this, though, because I'm still getting over a throat cold a little bit, and my voice is absolutely dying on me right now already, and I've barely been talking for like 15 minutes, so that's not great. Alright, I just chugged a bunch of water. Hopefully that helps a little bit. Didn't chug it as crazy as that Colorado Avalanche fan that caught a puck, obviously, and chugged a beer. But let's see what this team could do in playoff action. Get to this first game in Montreal at the Bell Center. This is going to be a tough arena to play in. I don't know if we've ever beaten the Canadiens in franchise history, but let's see what we could do against them in the playoffs. First period, game number 1. And the score is 2-0 Habs. Not great, but the shots are pretty close, actually. So they're out shooting us 12-8. So like I said, not too bad in terms of being pretty close in the shots. But they have 2 goals from their top line already, Demidov and Slavkovsky. So like I said, that top line needs to be contained if we want to have any chance at winning any games. But so far, not a great start, but I would say that's definitely better than anticipated, because we could probably be down like by 5 goals after one, being a team that still allows a decent amount. So let's see if we can maybe get any goals back in this game. Like I said, it would be nice to not get shut out every single game, but that could happen with this team. So let's have a good second period and maybe start to claw back into this game. Second period, 4-0 Habs. Goddamn. Yeah, this is kind of what I was expecting. Forster's already been yanked, I guess, early into the second period, because afterwards Kavapel came in, which is interesting. But Ackerland made it 3-0. Roy makes it 4. So that's unfortunate. Shots are now 25-13, so they're starting to kind of run away with this game a little bit. But I do expect this kind of from the Habs. I'm still just hoping that our team doesn't get completely blown out every single game. Like, we got to find a way to win at least one, right? I at least hope so. But let's see if we can have a good third period here. We're down by 4 goals. Let's just at least get a goal to maybe give us some energy for next game. But obviously playing on the road here is going to be really tough. Third period, let's see if we could get a goal on our side for a change. Who wants to be the first one to score a playoff goal for us in franchise history? Nobody scores on the power play there, but that's okay. We are getting a little bit more chances, at least in this third period. And they make it 5-0. Lane Hudson beats Kavapel. Yeah, this is definitely the type of game I expected kind of from our team in our first playoff action. But eventually down the road, we're going to be the type of playoff team that beats teams 5-0. I really hope for, at least. But final shots are 38-28 in favor of the Habs. We end up getting shut out in our first playoff game. Hopefully their goaltender falls apart in the second game or something like that. But yeah, definitely a tough one as all their top guys kind of were on the board in that one. Demidov, Slavkovsky, Caulfield, Dobson all had assists and stuff like that too. Reinbacher picked up a point. Lane Hudson scored. So they definitely got offense from that top six, which is what I exactly said we didn't need to do. And then in terms of our player stats, obviously we had nobody on points. But there was only a couple people that were an even zero in this game, that being Mullen and Nakamura. Everybody else was minus. And the line that got probably torched the most must have been the top line, because Klinga and Hiromis both were -3. So a tough showing in that first game. But it is what it is. We also do need to get to that Benak extension, which obviously we should probably do before we get eliminated potentially. So let's go ahead and do that. Try and get him signed up. Because obviously we want him to stick around with this team, just because if we end up losing him, like I was saying, it would be kind of substantial. So let's get him offered an extension here. He wants a 4-year deal, which is exactly what we were planning on doing, I think, in last episode, if I remember right. And we were going to do a no movement clause and knock this down by a lot. He has a lot of interest in this organization, which obviously helps things quite a bit. So we should be able to drop this down a lot. Even more maybe than last episode. Yeah, I think so. Okay, I think his price came down quite a bit. So yeah, we'll give him a 4-year deal, because Green could become a better by then. Also, Benak will be 32 years old by the time that is done. So let's do a... Yeah, let's do... Okay, that jumps it up by quite a chunk, that little extra 25K. Let's do a 4 by 8.65. I think that's a no-brainer. And if he accepts that, obviously, then we won't have to worry about re-signing him again for a couple years until Green's ready to take that first line spot. Green is signed a lot longer term. He's making less money than Benak, so there's a chance still that Green could be that number one center at some point in time, but Benak obviously will be there for a little bit before then, so let's hope he accepts that. We'll probably won't find out until game 3 around, I'm assuming, but let's get to that next game already. We're just going to keep our lines the same, even though it was a rough first game. Oh, not extending your contract at this time. I did not give him enough money, apparently. That's kind of not what I was expecting, because he had a lot of interest in our team. So let's try and rework this a little bit here. His organizational interest actually dropped a little bit, and now he only wants a 3-year deal. That's not great. If I go to 4 years again, let's go back to no movement clause, and we will try and knock this down a little bit. Let's do... I don't want to drop it down too much, because I think even, like, honestly, like 8.7 is even not bad. So let's do it in 8x7 or 8.7 for 4 years. And he accepted it immediately? Damn. All right. I was not expecting that. I thought he would actually come back to me a few days later, but you can see definitely he's worth that type of money, I think, 8.7. It's a lot less than what he was making before. So very happy to have him on board on an $8.7 million contract. Obviously, that means he's going to be making less than Hiromis, Paco, Klinga, which I think obviously he is worth probably around that price point, especially if he continues to play good on the top line and top six. So that's good that we got him locked up and ready to go before this next game. So let's see what happens here. Let's get to game 2. Like I said, we're going to just keep the lines the same for now. I probably won't play with the lines too much in this first ever round that we're in, because we're at this point where we know that we're probably going to be a team that loses in the first round, but we're the type of team that we just want to see what this team could do first and foremost before we kind of overcomplicate things a bit. Obviously, it would be nice to win our cup in our first ever playoff run, but I don't think that's realistic. So I think for this first ever playoff run, we pretty much just run with what we have, and then we could kind of expose those weaknesses accordingly. So anyways, let's get to game 2 and see what this team could do in Montreal again. See if we could find a way to at least get on the score sheet in this game, because if we get shut out, like I said, every single game, that would kind of suck. But anyways, first period, game 2. Can we get on the board? The answer is not yet. So we've been shut out in 4 straight periods, which kind of sucks, but we do have more shots than them after 1, which is not a bad sign. Shots are 12-9. But yeah, Wolf has been very locked in so far in the series. They are a very solid defensive team too, though, so we got to be a little bit aware of that, of course. Can we find a way to get on the score sheet in the second period? Second period. 2-0 Habs. Man, we have not scored at all so far. I'm not blaming Forster on those 2 goals because now they're out shooting us 25-15. So I think we only literally had 3 shots in that second period. So this is why I was kind of saying, I think I said in the last episode at least, that this team should, I would prefer to miss the playoffs almost in a way than make the playoffs and not get a single win in a way. So if we don't get a single win, I would be a little bit disappointed. If we obviously do get a win, I'll be probably pretty proud of that, of course. But I think, I kind of almost would prefer to have a lottery pick than basically getting no wins in the playoff round. That's basically how I see it. But this team definitely still could win once we get to home ice. But obviously right now on the road in Montreal, we're having definitely a tough time, especially continuing their top 6 because Demidov has a goal now and Schmaltz has a goal. Like I said, shots are heavily in their favor because they outplayed us kind of a bit in that second. Can we find a way to get on the score sheet at all in this third? Or are we going to be shut out in back-to-back games? Maybe if we keep saying the word shutout, the goaltender will allow a goal. So third period underway. Can we get on the score sheet whatsoever? Can we get on the score sheet? And who wants to be the first one to score a playoff goal for us in franchise history? I know there's somebody on the team that's going to score it, but who is it going to be of all people? Is it going to be Klinga? Is it going to be Hromis? Is it going to be Paco? Who is it going to be? And is it going to come in game 3 instead? The answer is yes. We get shut out in back-to-back games. I might have actually predicted the series accordingly. I feel like we could get shut out in every single game, but obviously I'm not hoping for that. But that's kind of a tough game because we outplayed them in the first in terms of shots, but we sat back in the second, and that's where they won the game. So that's still a close game to have with a really good team like Montreal. So that's definitely better than game 1. But obviously, it would be nice to see if our team could win a game eventually. And there was only 1 penalty all game, too. McElhinney actually had a delayed game penalty in the third period. So this series is very uneventful. At least this game was. Not a lot of goal scoring and no penalties hardly whatsoever. So at least our team's staying disciplined and Law isn't fighting people every single game like we were anticipating. But in the plus-minus department, Dave Antonio and Paco were both -2, but they both played 27 minutes in that game. So those guys are getting in a great cardio session, it seems like. And then everybody else was below that. But Klinga had 21 minutes as a forward, which is pretty insane. And yeah, a lot of guys were -1 as well. Goaltending-wise, I mean, that's a really solid game from Forster. That's probably the type of game he had during the regular season because he had a really good save percentage during the season. And it looks like he's bringing that into the playoffs again as well a little bit. Obviously, he wasn't in net for all goals last game, but he does get 3rd star of the game. So the first time a player of ours has been a 3-star in a playoff game. So if Forster ends up being that goaltender that takes us to a Stanley Cup, remember his name because he's definitely our best goalie we've had up to this point. Even though I've really liked Kavapol and some of the other guys we had before, like Lysak and all that as well. All right, well, let's simulate up to game 3. I feel like I want to make line changes, but at the same time, like I said, I kind of just want to see what our weakness is by exposing each individual line after the series, if we do lose, that is. So I think I'm going to honestly just keep the team the same. I know, obviously, a lot of the time when we do playoff rounds and stuff like that, I make adjustments, but it's more just a feeling out process right now for this team. Like, we're not putting the bar so high that we need to win these games right now, regardless. We're just trying to see what we need to work on going forward. So let's keep the team the same. We have been improving, I guess, steadily because the first game was kind of bad. The second game was better defensively and in net. So I'm hoping this is the type of game that we could start to get our offensive game going if possible. All right, so with that said, let's get to game 3. This is the first ever playoff game in franchise history on home ice. So remember this game if our team finds a way to win it. But can we bring some good playoff action to Europe? Because where did I even make this arena? I don't even remember what country in Europe I made this arena in. I know I called it the Continental Center, but I don't remember what arena, like where I would have said that arena was. Like, I don't remember if it was in a place like Germany or if it was a place in Czech Republic. I honestly don't remember which city it would technically be in. I guess technically I set the city name to Europe, so yeah, I don't know exactly where our arena would be in Europe. You guys can kind of make up if you want to, but yeah, I called it the Continental Center just because that's what Google AI gave me as a cool name for it. So anyways, with that said, let's get to game 3. See if this team can find a way to win at least one of these games, like I said, because I don't want to get swept, but I would take at least having one win in this playoff run. First period, game 3. And it's 3-2 for us after 1. Okay. So this is the first ever playoff goal in franchise history. It is the guy with the recent extension, the captain of the team, Adam Benak. I couldn't have asked for a better player to score that first goal, just because obviously being our captain and all, but they opened the scoring early. We answered back with that power play goal from Benak, which is huge. And then Law picks up 2 goals. So I know Law hasn't necessarily put up crazy totals in the regular season, but for him to have 2 goals in the first period is absolutely huge. He's probably a fan favorite, to be honest. And when I was looking at the morale before I recorded this episode, he's actually listed as a leader on this team too. So he fights people. He might not pick up a crazy ton of goals, but he has some big goals here in the playoffs. He's our first multi-goal scorer in a playoff game. Anyways, Caulfield then pulled them within 1. So a bit of a rough first period for Forster, 2 goals on 8 shots, but we have 3 goals on 15. So that's much better considering we didn't really get any offense going in that first 2 games, of course. Can we find a way to hold on to this lead in the second period and maybe get some more insurance? Second period. 5-4 Montreal now. Man, that's tough. That's tough. It was a good first period. The second period, Forster allows 3 more goals. Dobson, Kempe, and Suzuki for them. Benak scores for us, so we have 2 guys on multi-goals, Benak and Law, of course. But we are trailing going into the third with the shots 25-21 in favor of us. So this is one of those games that if we find a way to win, it would be absolutely huge. If we lose it, of course, we're on the brink of elimination. But it is good to see this team at least figuring out the offensive game. The defensive and goaltending game is still a little bit iffy, but obviously that could get better as our team starts to develop more. So anyways, with that said, let's see what happens in this third period, see if we can find a way to tie this game back up. It's been pretty back and forth so far. Definitely an entertaining game for the fans in our building. Third period underway. Can we tie this one back up? Can we tie it back up? Power play for us. We do tie it up. It's Roger Green. Let's go, Roger. Roger with the big goal. Let's go. Tied at 5. It's been really back and forth so far. Can we find a way to get that 6th goal on our team as well? Is it going to be an overtime scenario? Potentially. The answer to that will be, yes, it will be another overtime game. Oh, man. I thought it was going to start continuing to simulate right away because it went right to overtime. That was kind of weird. Anyway, shots are 33-31. And since this is our first ever playoff overtime game, I know we're not on the brink of elimination, but since this is such a big monumental first game on team history, we are going to be jumping in and watching this game. I think this is going to be a fun thing to watch because obviously we've never seen our team out there before, and it would be kind of cool just to see them in playoff action in Europe. So that's exactly what we're going to do and see if they can win their first ever playoff game, because I kind of want to witness it in game rather than sim engine if we do find a way to win this. So we have an 80 overall on offense and goaltending, 84 on defense. So definitely some lower end ratings, but let's see if we can find a way to win here. Hopefully, because we're a weaker team, hopefully the game doesn't make them look weak on ice, but let's see what happens. Jump on in and watch these Europe United play and see if they could win this first game in franchise history in the playoffs. This will be exciting. This will be exciting. Even though it is a little bit nerve-wracking, like I said, too, because of the fact that, of course, Montreal is a much better team. But can we find a way to win? And it does have the series score, too, which is kind of nice. So that's something that was added to this game this year quietly. All right, let's get it out, guys. Let's not stay in our zone. Dave finds it up to Klinga. Klinga lost control. So far, not having a lot of puck possession. Hudson tries to get through 3 guys. Here is Paco. Let's go, Paco. Paco with a head full of speed. Paco throws it to Hromis. He shoots it to the net. Rebound was there for Benak, but he couldn't put the hat trick in. It would be insane if Benak got a hat trick in this game. But we'll still remember this game as the first ever game we ever scored in. So write it down if you guys want. Here's a chance. Oh, that just went wide. I don't know who that was. Oh, it's Klinga. Klinga finds Paco over to Hromis. That shot's blocked. Now we're starting to get a little bit of pressure, but not enough, as they do block the shot. And now we need to get away from Slavkovsky. Their top line's still out there. Slavkovsky poke check nicely by Paco, but Paco lost it. Demidov to Slavkovsky. He gets a huge hit in and then doesn't even shoot it there. What the hell was that? That was kind of weird. This game seems a little slow-paced, which I don't really know why. If our team's just slowing down this game a lot, but it looks kind of strange. Also, you guys could see our arena for the first time, which actually looks kind of sick with the yellow trim and all that. I think I did a good job with that. But it also looks like we're watching a game from like way back in the 90s or 90s and 80s and stuff like that with that yellow color. It looks kind of interesting. Anyways, second line's out there now. Roger Green wins the draw. Urquhart over to McElhinney. I got to get used to all these jersey numbers and stuff because this is the first time we've ever seen our guys out there in this playoffs before. Kempe takes that puck away. Great save there by Forster. We need to change his mask because he's wearing an Anaheim mask again. But he's got his yellow pads, which look pretty sick. Here is Law. Law finds Green. Green throws it to Urquhart. To McElhinney. Back to Roger Green. A blast, and that's turned away. That was kind of a weird shot to take, but at least it's a shot on net. Reinbacher up to Kempe. Kempe finds Schmaltz. Can't get away. Nice job by Urquhart. Urquhart with it. He'll throw it all the way up. And here is Roger Green trying to get around. He can't. Yeah, this team definitely seems a little bit slower paced than I was expecting, but it's okay. It's okay. Peterson a shot. Sterned away. Urquhart down low. Here is Lee. Over to Mullen. We have our third line out there now. Bradford with a little bit of speed. Here he is. Bradford carrying it in. Bradford throws it into the slot. Mullen can't get a crazy hard shot, but it almost worked. And now Montreal has possession of the puck again. Ackerland all the way up to Hood. This is a back and forth game. MacArthur can't get a crazy hard shot, but Forster couldn't even hold on to that. That was weird. Green's still out there. He's pretty tired, but he'll find Locke. The fourth liner is out there now. And Roger Green takes it away again. Now, why is Roger Green out there for so long? Mullen. Mullen holding on to it. Shoots it. That's turned away. Loose puck in front, and their goalie will freeze it. But that's an absolute long shift for Roger Green. But Roger Green's had a good game. He had a good game. I guess, yeah, this game, yeah, because he tied the game up, right? So I had to remember which goal he scored. But yeah, this is an interesting game so far. And my voice is trying to go on me, which really, really sucks. Because if this is a big game for us, I want to have a clear voice. But unfortunately, it's not the case. Andrews' a shot turned away. That might have hit off of stick. As this first overtime period is going pretty quick. Because we're already halfway through it. So who knows? Maybe there will be a double overtime situation here in Europe. But let's find a way to get a win here for the fans, guys. There we go. Trevelyan's got it for them. Unfortunately, we will not get full pressure, I guess, because of that. But Trevelyan's got it. Their 77 overall D-man finds Roy. That shot is kind of weird. I don't know why Forster's falling down there. He didn't even look tired. Andrews will just take it and dump it. And dump and chase. Nakamura gets to it, finds Barrett. He can't get a shot. This might be the first time almost that I've watched just a full-on AI game almost, so maybe that's why it also feels slower paced. It definitely feels different than watching NHL 25 in a way. I don't know what it is. I think it's the dump and chase and all that stuff, maybe. Here's Law. He could also look for the hat trick on a shift. Maybe we'll see him fight somebody. Here we go with, I can't see who that is. Oh, that's Barrett, I think. Come on, boys. Let's find a way to get some more shots. This has been a high-shooting game. Both teams have 5 goals. Nice pick off by Paco on that dump and chase, but he turned it over and Roy is turned away. That was dangerous. We still love Paco, and I did not mean to hit my mic. Unfortunately, that's going to be pretty loud probably on you guys' ears, but Paco with a little bit of a bad turnover, but we still love Paco. We don't care if he turns it over like that, but Benak on the draw can't win it. Let's get it out. Dobson, a blast that is blocked. Slavkovsky throws it towards the net. It doesn't get through. They almost have full pressure. We don't want to be under pressure too long because our team is not the greatest. Here's a chance again for them. Demidov can't get a shot there. Nice pick off by Hromis, but he's stick checked and Forster has to make another save. And if we can't win this face-off, they might actually get pressure, which is not great. Come on, guys. I want to win at least one game in the series. We need to find a way to get a random goal in this game if we can. We've had 5 goals in this game. We could definitely score another. We win the draw. Caulfield, though, stole that puck away. He shoots it from a bad angle. Forster will take it. Whew. Yeah, this is a little bit of a scary game, but like I said, I'm not at least putting a lot of pressure on ourselves that we need to win the series, but it would be nice to see us win a game for our fans here. So, Banaka the draw. Demidov won it again. Here's Dobson shooting it through a crowd. Paco turns it over. Oh my goodness. Paco is scaring me a little bit, but he is an OFD. Here we go again with the puck. We're not going to get it super far, but at least that pressure is gone. Caulfield up to Slavkovsky. Slavkovsky finds Demidov. He's in with the puck. Good stick there by Klinga on defense, which is interesting. He's playing defensively. Slavkovsky will shoot. That's blocked. This is a very tight checking game, it feels like. Like, no team's getting breakaways, so. Here's Sazongoth. We have our fourth line out there now. Christoph Sazongoth, who was in the HL all last year. Gets possession of that puck still. Sazongoth looks around. Finds Lee. Lee back to Sazongoth to, I don't know who that was. I think it was Law. He tried to just throw a weird shot to the net. That almost looked offside, but it wasn't. Urquhart with it now. He lost possession of the puck. Slavkovsky over to Suzuki. That shot's blocked. Our team plays a really solid defensive system, it looks like, in this game, but obviously we've given up 5 goals, so who knows? Who knows? Here's Lane Hudson with it. Can't get by Law. Law banks it up to Urquhart. Why is Urquhart playing more as a forward and Law playing more as a defenseman at this point? Here's a chance for Sazongoth. It doesn't get through. Jeez, this is a really tight checking game where I didn't even realize we're in the last 20 seconds of this first overtime already. Oh, nice forecheck. Here's Law for the hat trick. It doesn't get through. Law gets it back to Albatozer. Over to Andrews. That shot's deflected. Rebound. Law had the chance to get that rebound, but he couldn't get it. Oh, no. That was a good chance there. Nice deflection to the net and a rebound. If Law was able to get that shot off faster, he could have gotten that hat trick for sure. And Kravtsov apparently knocked down Law. I'm surprised Law didn't get up and just like immediately sucker punch him in the face or something. All right, well, we have our fourth line out there against their second line, which is kind of a weird strategy, but Sazongoth against Suzuki, he wins it. Albatozer shoots, stats turned away with 4.5 seconds. We have 40 shots on goal in this game. We might be going to double overtime unless we get a late goal here. But our fourth line is doing a pretty solid job against their second line right now in terms of winning this face-off. So, Sazongoth again will not win this one, which means we are going to be going to double overtime here in Europe. Like I said, I have no idea which city this is, but that was an interesting first overtime. Good to see the guys out there. First time we've gotten to see these guys skate around and what they're made of. Kind of a slow-paced team in a way. Guys that get in the way of a lot of shots and all that, but I feel like at some point they'll definitely be a little bit more fast-paced. But let's get to the second overtime. I need to definitely chug some water here too because my voice is absolutely shot. All right, here we go. Double overtime. Can we find a hero? This is where heroes are made, guys. This is where heroes are made. Habs have possession of the puck. Slavkovsky can't go in because Caulfield was knocked in offside. He has to go off because he lost his helmet. That's pretty huge. Demidov with possession. Finds Slavkovsky. He shoots it and it's turned away by Forster. I thought that puck might have fallen behind, but that's a nice flash of the leather by Forster to keep this game tied. But I guess Hromis was the one that hit Caulfield and knocked his helmet off. Yeah. Oh, no, he wasn't. Who did he knock down there? Regardless, that's a pretty big hit. Hromis is actually more physical than we expected, so that's kind of nice. He's actually up there in hits in the playoffs right now. All right, come on, Binak. You got great face-off stats. We signed you to a great contract. You have 2 goals in this game. Hudson walks the point, can't get that shot through. That's kind of interesting to see Hudson walk the point like that. Like, that's kind of realistic to how he plays in real life. Demidov a chance, and that's turned away again by Forster. Get it out, guys. Binak. He looks so small, though, too, because he's only 5'6", which is hilarious. Binak takes that and keeps that in, but now they have possession back. A little bit of a clusterfuck for the puck again. Paco finds Binak. Binak. Can't get that pass through. Slavkovsky knocked it down out of the air. This is a crazy game, man. Slavkovsky up to Caulfield again. Get away. Get it away. Caulfield can't get a crazy hard shot there. Caulfield still gets to that puck first. And they have possession again. Dobson a shot. I don't know if that hit the goalie or if it hit off their own man, but that was a blast. Here is Klinga. Rudolf Klinga throws it into Hromis. Matej Hromis over to Binak. Binak can't get that pass through. And now, did we force a turnover? Almost. Damn, man. A lot of guys throwing some big hits. I like it. Urquhart over to Hromis again. Here is Hromis. Hromis had a 30-goal season. He finds Nakamura. That shot's turned away. Rebound was there, but unfortunately knocked in. Not knocked in. Lee gets knocked into the bench. Speaking of getting knocked in, goddamn. Okay. Well, that's not great considering he's a defenseman. That's a chance for Kravtsov and great back check there from Nakamura. Love to see that. Always nice when a forward will come back and help you out. Suzuki's turned away. In tight. Lee gets possession of that puck. He gets by. He throws it up, but it's a bad pass Man, our team is, yeah, very sloppy kind of, but it's fun to watch still. It's just definitely a little bit more pace, different pace than I was expecting. Beck finds Kravtsov and they score. Damn it. Why is Vitaly Kravtsov scoring goals? Unfortunately, we're going to lose and we go down 3-0 in the series. I kind of wanted to watch this just in case we would win, but that's unfortunate for our fans as we are one game away from getting swept. But this was still one of the better showings, of course, of the team, but that second period pretty much shot us in the arm quite a bit, but that sucks. That game-winning goal from Kravtsov, it sucks that he's not in Russia at this point. But this is just a goal that Forster's caught kind of cheating off the post a little bit because he sees the guy with the puck, but then he pushes off the post and then leaves the rest of this net all exposed. So he overcommits way too much. And in this shot, finds a way in, of course. That's a tough one. That's a tough one. But it is what it is. Like I said, I don't expect this team to win the series, but I expect us to have at least some good games in it. So, Lee picked up 2 assists in this game. Benak had 2 goals. We had Roger Green on 2 points, Law on 2 goals, and a couple other guys on 1 point, including Paco. So, nice to see a lot of guys on the score sheet in this game. Unfortunately, probably one of the main reasons we lost this game was Forster, though. He had an .850 save percentage. I know he faced 40 shots. But yeah, he had a tough time. All right, well, that was still a fun game to watch. Unfortunately, not the outcome we were looking for. But there is still a chance that we could still win a game in the series if we find a way to win this next one. So let's keep the team the same. Like I said, I'm here just to basically address what this team needs. So let's get to game 4 and see if the team can fight off elimination and force a game 5. And if they could win maybe a game at least for their fans, because I think they deserve it after how they played last game. First period. Actually, let's move my face down here because I almost forgot. First period now. 3-2. Goddamn. So this is exactly like last game so far. So our team's offense is a lot better on home ice so far than it's been on the road. But a good start to this game again. Klinga makes it 1-0. A couple minutes later, Paco scores. Didn't they score 2 unanswered? Peterson and Suzuki. But Klinga gives us back the lead. So Klinga's got a multi-goal game as well. So we've had 3 guys with multi-goal games in this playoffs, which is awesome too. So I'll definitely take that. Shots are 12-11 in favor of us. So yeah, both goalies not playing the strongest in this game. We scored a goal on every 4 shots, basically. They scored a goal every 5.5 shots, I guess, technically. So let's hopefully have a better defensive second period because obviously we've had one good defensive game and that was game 2. Our offense has definitely gotten better. So I guess because we're getting better offensively, we're kind of sacrificing our defense in a way. So hopefully we can play a little bit more balanced in the second. Second period. 3-3, of course, they tied. At least that's a better defensive period than last game where they end up taking the lead. But Cole Caulfield makes it 3-3 with the shots 24-20 in favor of them as well. All right, well, third period, we got to find out if this team could somehow find a way to win or if we're end up going to get swept. Obviously, we're a really bad team compared to Montreal on paper, but I feel like since we took them to an overtime, that's a win in itself. If we could find a way to win this game as well, of course, that would be even a bigger win. So can we have a good third period and can we get that lead back? Third period underway. Who wants to be the guy to give us the lead? It's going to be Klinga again. So Klinga's got a hat trick here, I'm pretty sure. So that's the first ever playoff hat trick in franchise history, but Suzuki answered back for them on the power play as well. So this is a back and forth game again. Paco gives us back the lead. Paco's got 2 on the night as well, so it's just been Paco and Klinga in this game. Is that enough? The answer to that will be, yes it will. The Europe United have won their first playoff game in franchise history. Remember this game, 5-4 over the Habs. So if only we didn't lose that overtime game, we could have had a tie series at this point. But the team gets it done. Nice little victory on home ice. And the fans in Europe are absolutely going bonkers. They just know that eventually down the road, this team could be a cup contender. All right, so Klinga definitely was a big factor in that one. Same with Paco. So Klinga from Benak and Forster. We had Paco from Law and Andrews. Klinga from Paco and Benak. Klinga from McElhaney and Hromis. And Paco from Alpetozer and Bradford ends up being the game-winning goal. So Our player stats in that one, yeah, Klinga had 3 goals on 5 shots. Paco shot 7 shots in that game as a D-man. That's absolutely absurd, but he had a 3-point night. You have Benak on 2 assists, so Benak continues to be great. And then a couple guys on 1 point. So that's a strong showing for sure. And then goaltending-wise, Forster had an 889, which is better than the last game. He did also pick up an assist. I didn't even see that, did I? Or did I even mention that? Which goal was it? Oh, it's the first goal of the game. All right, so shout out to Forster. We have a goalie with an assist in the playoffs. That's actually really great. Awesome. Okay. So Klinga gets first star, 3 goals, 5 hits. Paco second star, 2 goals, 1 assist, no hits. And Suzuki for them with 2 goals. All right, so we've won a playoff game for the first time in franchise history. That's a major success. This means at least that this playoff run wasn't a crapshoot. We also had a game that we brought to overtime. Anything from here on out is basically cherry on top. So we don't really need to worry about it. If we're going to win the series or if we're going to win multiple games in the series, at this point, I'm pretty content with how this team has been. But obviously, there's been some things that we're going to need to clean up. But there's definitely things that are showing some good promise for the future as well. All right, so with that said, let's get to the next game. Waste no time again. Like I said, I'm not going to make line changes, so we might as well see if this team can make it a 3-2 series. Obviously, if we would have won that overtime game, this could have been a brand new series, but it is what it is. Obviously, winning in Montreal is going to be really tough here for our team, so are we up for the task is the question. We have not scored on the road so far, so it'd be nice to score one here. First period. 3-0 us. Okay. Maybe a reverse sweep coming in to play here. Who knows? But Andrews scores first, so that's a defenseman with a goal. Law has another goal, so Law's up to 3 goals in the series. And Lee, another defenseman, gets on the board. That's one thing I kind of like about this team is we could get goals from defenders right now. Like Pacos have been scoring, Lee's scored, Andrews has scored. And I think that's the only defenseman out that's scored so far, but we can definitely get some offense from our back end, unlike some other teams out there probably in the league. Shots are 15-12 in favor of them, but that's a great defensive first period in terms of goaltending and obviously scoring every single 4-shot basically in this game so far. So let's keep it going. The second period's been a tough period usually for our team, so let's have a strong second and let's see if we could find a way to potentially lock this game down and take this series back to Europe again. Second period. 3-1. Okay, they do get on the board. It's Demidov, which kind of sucks again, but they're out shooting us literally 31-20. So Forster is definitely having a redemption game here. He's had a rough series except for that 2-0 loss. So for him to have another good game, that would be very promising as well for him. Because, like I said, during the season, having a .919 save percentage, he had some rough games, of course, during the year, but he also had probably some really good games too. So he's going to be that type of goalie probably for us in the playoffs as well, my expectation at least. So let's see if we can lock this game down in third. Maybe get some insurance just because it is only a 2-goal lead. Let's see what happens. Third period underway. Can we get some insurance and take the series back to home ice? Lane Hudson makes it a 3-2 game. Kempe ties it up. Oh boy. But we get the lead back at least. Nakamura. But I don't like that we blew a 3-0 lead. Penalty kill. Nicely done, penalty killers. Penalty kill again. We got to be more disciplined here. I don't know if that's Law taking penalties, but whoever it is, just tone it down a little bit. Could be Dave Antonio as well. Final minute. And we lock it down. We win 4-3. So another 1-goal victory. They outshot us 50-26. So Forster, I know you allowed 2 goals to get them tie this game back up, but give yourself a pat on the back. 47 saves is not an easy feat, especially against Montreal on their home ice. We got pretty much doubled up in shots, but Nakamura's goal ends up being a game winner. This is a 3-2 series now. It's anybody's series now at this point almost. Andrews from Benak and Klinga. We had Law from Bradford and Green. Lee from Green and Law. And then we had Nakamura from Green and Paco. Jeez, man, I can barely talk with my throat right now. Hopefully you guys aren't clicking off because my voice sounds terrible. But Green had 3 assists. Law had 2 points and a couple guys on 1 point. But what an effort from Forster. A .940 save percentage. This will go down as one of the better efforts we've seen in playoff history for our team so far. Maybe it'll be one of the best playoff performances all time because I don't know if in the future if we'll give up 50 shots once our team actually gets a lot better. All right, so what a performance in Montreal. Now, if we could find a way to win in front of our fans again, we could literally force a Game 7. If only we didn't lose that overtime game. I don't know if I would have not jumped in if we would have found a way to win, but we could end up having a chance to take the series lead here. We could have had the series lead if we won that overtime game, which is insane. And our AHL team has been eliminated, unfortunately. So the AHL team goes out before the NHL team, as we unfortunately lost in 5 games to Belleville. We won the first game, lost the second one by 1 goal, lost the third one by 1. Then we tied the series back up, but then we lost 6-1 in that last game. So that's unfortunate for Burnaby. But obviously, there's still good prospects that eventually will come to that team too. So anyways, can we tie the series back up and force a game 7? Let's believe in the cheese. We're in front of our fans. Obviously, coming off a big win on the road. Can we give our fans another good game to cheer about? Let's see what happens. I feel like we want to do a real-time simulation of this game almost, but let's do a real-time simulation. Let's do it. Why not? Why not? It's a little bit more stressful when it's real time, but it's at the same time, it's kind of fun too. So, penalty kill here in the first period, a 5-on-3 penalty kill, and we killed it off. Nicely done, boys. But they do open a scoring. Lane Hudson makes it 1-0. I knew they would eventually score. Bradford ties it up. Let's go, Bradford. Not the type of person I'd expect to score some goals, but that's a big one, as it will be 1-1 after 1, despite them out shooting us 16-7. So, strong first period from Forster again. It is only a 1-1 game. Let's get our offense going, and let's take that lead. Second period underway. Penalty kill again. We got to be more disciplined here, boys. I don't know who's taking those penalties. I probably should look, but I'm assuming it's Law, but it could honestly be Dave too, because he had 6 fights during the season. Mullen gives us the lead. That might be his first goal of the series. I think it is, if I'm not mistaken, but that's huge to have the lead in the second period, especially with them out shooting us right now at this point. And that will be the lead going into the third as well. Oh my goodness. Shots 22-16. It's been a great performance again from Forster. He has definitely been a difference maker in some of the good games, but also a difference maker in some of the bad games too. So we need to have a strong third period here, because we know they're going to be pushing extra tough. Can we find a way to get some insurance and get this game locked down? Because obviously, I don't even feel safe having a 3-goal lead probably with our roster because of how it is right now. But having a 1-goal lead is very, very nerve-wracking. So let's see what happens. Third period. Let's get some insurance. Let's get some insurance. I don't care who it is on our team, but somebody give me an insurance marker. Power play, we do not score, but it does take time off the clock. But it would be nice to get an insurance marker still. Final few minutes, still up by that 1 goal only. Can we lock this game down? No, we can't. Owen Beck ties it at 2. And guess what? We're going to another overtime, which means, of course, we're going to jump in and watch this too, because of its elimination game as well. Obviously, last time we watched an overtime game wasn't the result we wanted, but who knows? Maybe this is where heroes are made. Let's go with our alternate jersey just for something different. Just for something different. Since we just saw the blue jerseys, let's see if the yellow jerseys can maybe give us a little bit more good luck in this one. So let's put on these yellow jerseys and see if it's enough to get us a win here. Our goalies would be wearing blue pads too with these yellow jerseys, which will look interesting. So let's watch this game with yellow jerseys, and let's see if we could force a game 7 back in Montreal. There's been a lot of travel between these two cities, so both teams are probably a little bit jet-lagged, but let's see if we could find a way to win here. Paco finds Antonio. Dave Antonio up to Benak. Benak can't get in. Klinga will find Antonio again. Here's Adam Benak, the captain of the team. Lost it. Dave Antonio walking down. Finds Paco. That shot doesn't get through. All right. I don't mind just taking a shot like that. Nice little hit there by Dave Antonio. Here he is. Dave can't get by. Here is Cole Caulfield. It's a 2-on-1 for the Habs. Nice pick off there by Hromis. Kalinga will take it. Over to Benak. Adam Benak with it. Benak hears it out wide. Benak still with it. Throws it to Klinga. Klinga doesn't shoot yet. Now he shot it. I might have got deflected in front. I'm not too sure, but that was an interesting little play. Was expecting him to shoot it a lot earlier than that, but no. Slavkovsky with it. Walking to the front of the net. Doesn't shoot it. Hudson is blocked. There's a chance now for the Habs, and it's turned away. Nice defensive play, boys. Slavkovsky. Suzuki. That's a weak shot. That doesn't even get to the net. Urquhart. Here is Urquhart. Lost control of it. Slavkovsky has no speed. You could easily get him off the puck, but they lost it. Suzuki goes to the chance and Forster to save. A little bit on our heels here, but obviously Forster at least has been a brick, so if we could find a way to play good in front of him, we could win too. But Klinga, what did he do? Oh, he threw a big hit. That's what he was doing. Okay. Yeah, Klinga is also a very physical kind of guy, but not as physical, I think, as Hromis. Or maybe he is. Oh, yeah, I guess he is. He's leading the team in hit. Hromis is number 2, and then Antonio's down there as well. All right, here we go. Defensive zone faceoff, Green versus Suzuki. Roger wins it. Urquhart will get pinned. Turns it over. Urquhart's a little bit stressful. I can see why his plus-minus was bad during the season. Here's Roger. Green up to McElhaney, over to Law. Law will blast it. That's turned away. Law's been a dangerous player in this playoffs so far. Can't get it from Reinbacher. Hopefully he stays disciplined in this overtime scenario. Dumped in by Schmaltz. Here is Urquhart getting to that first. He will not even kick it around. He's kind of stressing me out a little bit. Nice shot block there by McElhaney. Let's go. He's got really good takeaways, McElhaney. Nice play by Albatozer to step up as an OFD. He will jump up with it. You will find Law. Law lost it, but McElhaney will get a shot. That's a great chance, but that's turned away. Kravtsov's out there again. We got to watch out for him, of course, after the last overtime goal. Here is Reinbacher getting in with a shot that's turned away. Not a super dangerous shot, but still kind of dangerous. He didn't really get in too deep. Barrett with it. Come on, Barrett. Oh, Barrett's got a chance. Barrett over to Bradford. The two Bs connect, but they can't get it by. Bradford again. Bradford, great work down low. He gets cross-checked from behind. No penalty call. That could have been a penalty in my opinion, but no, sir. Beck with it. Lost it. Trevelyan back to Beck. He tied it up early in this, or late in this third period. Law's tired. He will have to kick it back. Our guys are kind of pinned in our own zone a bit. Here's Paco. Paco lost it. Now he's got it. He throws it all the way up to Dave Antonio, his defense partner. Not a great pass there as Trevelyan intercepts it. Peterson throws it towards the net. I don't know why Forster's poke checking that there instead of freezing it, but I'm not going to ask him. Here's Barrett again. He's just going to dump it in with a crazy slap shot. And he's going to forecheck too a little bit. Peterson with it for them. He's going to dump it in. A lot of dump in chase versus NHL 25, it feels like. Barrett can't get the pass through Hood. Demidov in their top lines out there, but Demidov's pass is knocked down by Law. He finds Barrett. Barrett behind the defense. He hit the post. Oh my goodness. That didn't even look like a dangerous shot, but he hit the post after a great pickoff from Law. God damn. That was a weird shot because I didn't expect it to really be that dangerous, but it was. Caulfield comes back the other way. Nice defensive play. Caulfield still with it. Throws out front. Demidov tries to dive and go a Bobby Orr style. That goes wide of the net, and then Dobson with a bomb. That was even more dangerous than that diving chance. And Forster will glove it. But, yeah, that diving chance was way wide. But, yeah, Wolf has made some big saves in this overtime for them. Especially that one, of course. Is that with the stick? No, it was with the blocker. Okay. Wasn't sure if that hit the stick, because that would have been close. Oh, my goodness. Okay, guys, we got to win this defensive zone draw. At least we have our best face-off guy out there, I think. Benak versus Demidov. Can Benak win this draw? Yes, he can. Urquhart still stressing me out every time he has the puck. His defense partner, Lee, was not expecting it to come over to him, too, it looked like. Benak's getting hassled from Slavkovsky, who's turned away. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, Benak's pretty small. Slavkovsky's a big guy, so kind of a little bit tough for Benak to hold on to that puck. Anyways, here's the Habs with it. Caulfield. Caulfield getting in with it. Can't get super far in. Now he's got it to Dobson, over to Lane Hudson, over to Caulfield. Nice block there by Lee. Here comes Adam Benak. Benak losing that energy a little bit. Nothing comes of it. Kempe's poke checked. Urquhart is literally, every time he has it, he stresses me out, man. Oh my god. I can see why his plus-minus might be bad during the season if he plays like this in Sim Engine. Here's Klinga. Rudolf Klinga, the German, dumps it around. It's with Hromis now. Hromis looking, surveying, throws it over, can't hit anybody. Lane Hudson with it now. Hudson can't get by. Kempe finds Dobson, over to Roy. Roy lost control of it. Here's Nakamura. Nakamura, he's just going to dump it, and our guys are going to chase it down, but Dobson got there first, and here finds Kempe. Kempe wearing number 11 is kind of distasteful because Mikko Koivu and all that, but whatever. Or not Mikko Koivu, it's Aku Koivu. Goddamn, I can barely speak. Or even think, I guess. All right, come on, boys. Let's get this puck away. Dobson with it. Kravtsov up to Kempe. Here comes the Habs again. Don't allow them walk in, boys. Kravtsov shoots it. That's blocked. Albatozer. And we might be going to another double overtime game. I didn't even realize that we were on the final minute. Andrews lost control of it. Nakamura will get to it first. Drops it to Andrews. Andrews finds Albatozer. His shot's blocked. Now he shoots it again. It's loose in front. Walk trying to battle. Can't get a shot. Oh, man. It would be nice if the fourth line won us a game. That'd be insane. And we will be going to double overtime. So the Europe fans have been treated to some really good hockey. 2 double overtime games in a playoff series. And also their team maybe coming close to forcing a game 7. Because we literally hit the post in that first overtime on that shot. I am surprised that got through. But will our team be able to force game 7? I got to just drink a bunch of water here first before I continue, or else it's going to sound like shit. All right, here we go. I drank some more water. My voice still sounds like trash. So, yeah, this cold that I'm still trying to get over is absolutely brutal. Anyways, Banak at the draw versus Demidov. Let's find a way to win this one, boys. And it would be kind of cool to see an epic overtime goal. So, here's Banak. Banak finds Hromis. Hromis gets hit from behind, no penalty. Banak will take it up, gets a shot away, turned away. That was a pretty good looking shot. Here's Caulfield now, trying to use that speed. He will get past Dave. There's a chance for Demidov. That went wide. Oh my goodness, that shot was scary. God damn, a lot of power behind it. Here's Adam Banak. Banak now as we kind of go back and forth, but they have possession now back of the puck again. Lane Hudson dropping in. Paco will stay with him. Hudson still has it. Throws it to Caulfield and he scores. Are you kidding me? Oh my goodness. Well, we end up forcing a game 6, which is great. Unfortunately for us, more of our losses, I think, came on home ice than we would have liked. But it was a good run for our team, especially going up against a team that's won multiple Stanley Cups. We cannot complain about this first ever playoff run. That was a fun first playoff run. To have multiple double overtime games and also to even win some playoff games, I'd say that's a major success of a first playoff run. But unfortunately, we do not win. We had a shot that hit the post in the first overtime. Did not do anything for us, but they end up winning it because Lane Hudson just rushes into this play. This is a great play, AI-wise, I feel like, too. Because Hudson gets around Paco. Paco can't stick with him because Hudson's way faster. And then he throws it out front. And then Forster kind of bounces a little bit off his post again. Actually, maybe not. His shot goes right underneath the glove. Yeah, that was just a quick release from Caulfield. And that's the difference between players with high-end X factors and not. So that sucks to lose in our home building, but it's still kind of fun to watch these guys out there. So don't worry, Paco. Don't worry, my man. The playoffs will come back again, and we'll be even better next time. I got to get a screenshot of Paco out there because he's the GOAT. So there we go. That's our first ever playoff series. Let's actually go to our player stats in that one too, because I didn't do that. But Barrett had an assist, Mullen had a goal, Bradford, Andrews, and Locke. So our bottom 6 did the work in that game. And Forster posted at 921. So I would say, who is the MVP of our team in this playoffs? I'm kind of curious on the player stats and all that. Who was our MVP of our first ever playoff run? Obviously, it sucks to go out, but like I said, the Montreal could honestly go on and win the Stanley Cup this season. So I will definitely take losing in 6 games. But let's take a look at our player stats from this postseason, starting off with our forwards. So Klinga, Law, Banak, and Green all had 5 points in 6 games, so they're impressive. Bradford was also really good too, as a bottom 6 option. And then everybody else was a little bit more quiet. Like Hromis only had 1 assist in 6 games and was -6, so he's pretty bad. But obviously, hopefully, guys like Hromis pick up the pace a little bit better as years go on. He had a good regular season, and he does have a leadership ability, so I expect more from him. But I'm still impressed with guys like Law stepping up, and Green, and Bradford, I guess. From a defensive standpoint, Paco had 5 points in 6 games. That's great. Lee had 3 points. Andrews, 3 points. Antonio only had 1. Albatozer 1, and Urquhart had nothing. And then from a goaltending perspective, Forster had a .903 save percentage. And then Kavalpol obviously got to play a little bit of a playoff game. But Forster had some bad playoff games, but he was also really good in games. Is he the MVP of our team in this first round? I would say it's between him and all the 5-point players for sure. Like, who do you guys think was the best player on the team in this round? Paco had the most shots, which is absolutely outrageous, but I guess he just has a really high shot tendency as a D-man. So there is that. All right, we need to quickly get to the draft lottery results and all that stuff too, because we need to prime up next episode. I know this episode's going to be probably kind of long, but I've also had to clear my throat multiple times, so maybe it won't be that bad. But there's our first ever playoff run. At least we got Benak locked up already, because who knows if he'd want to stay with this team after a first round exit, but he should know that we'll be back again soon, I think. And Tourney should win the Jack Adams this year, you would think, right? So Calgary ends up winning the Stanley Cup, so it's another Canadian team, but it's not Montreal, and Wilkes-Barre wins the AHL. So let's take a look at those awards, wrap up this part. I apologize if this episode is actually really long. I'm not too sure if it is right now. But Calgary beat New Jersey. New Jersey actually beat Montreal in the conference finals in 7 games. So we weren't the best team against the Montreal Canadiens all playoffs, but we definitely did still give them a good run for their money. We were literally, if we would have won some of those overtime games, we would have won the series. So who knows? But yeah, definitely a lot of promise from our team going up against a team like that for sure. All right, let's take a look at the awards. So yeah, Calgary wins the Stanley Cup. We've had Montreal and Toronto also in the last 5 years. So a lot of Canadian teams winning. Montreal won the President's Trophy. We took them to 6 games. I'll take it. Calgary, New Jersey Cup Finals. First time the Habs have not been in the playoffs in a while as well. So the Habs have definitely been still a crazy good team. Connor Bedard, the Art Ross, and the Hart. Quinn Hughes does win the Norris, so unfortunately no Norris for Paco. But like I said, if Quinn Hughes retires, Paco could win it. Caulfield wins the Lady Byng. Parento for Nashville wins the Calder. Murley the Conn Smythe for Calgary. Stuart Skinner wins the Vezina and the Jennings. That's kind of funny. Gainey wins the Masterton for Detroit. And no Jack Adams. That's disrespectful to Tourney. Moravec of the Oilers wins the Jack Adams. So unfortunately, Tourney gets shafted right there, but I think he could definitely still win one eventually with our team. Pessinen wins the Selke for the Flames, Bedard the Lindsay, and also the Richard. All right, I'll just skim through these awards a little bit. Boom, boom, boom. All right, so now that we know that, let's find out the rest of this stuff before we wrap up this episode. But my voice is absolutely dead, and this video has been kind of long, but oh well. Columbus ends up winning the draft lottery, followed by Detroit, Philly, Boston, and Tampa. All right. Obviously, we're going to be drafting a lot later than we're used to, but hopefully we can still get a good player in this upcoming draft class. Pasternak has retired. Damn, that's a big retirement. No retirement to Quinn Hughes yet. Matthew Tkachuk, Sam Reinhart, so some big names. But unfortunately for us, that means that Paco might not win a Norris this upcoming year because Quinn Hughes didn't retire. Adam Fox retired, though, which is a good defenseman for points. So maybe there's a higher chance for Paco. Who knows? But a lot of big names retiring. In terms of goaltenders, the best to retire was Aiden Hill. All right. So there is the retirements. Anybody become a coach? Yes. Nico Hischier is now a coach. That's an interesting one. And in coach retirements, we did not lose anybody. Great. Perfect. All right. Draft interviews. I guess technically we probably won't do any draft interviews, but we got to see what we could actually draft. I don't even know where we're drafting is the only problem. Yeah, oh well, we'll take a look at still where we're drafting in a little bit, but we got to see what we're actually able to draft next episode. So, starting off with the Germans. Keller, high top 9, projected 10th overall. We're obviously not drafting that high, so we can't get any of these dudes whatsoever, at least in the first round. We could get some of these second rounders, but we are definitely not going to be able to get Keller, even though a high top 9 is probably not something crazy intriguing. Switzerland, obviously, we ain't getting Chip Chura, unfortunately, because he's supposed to go way too early. But we might have a chance to draft Newbury. Newbury's probably going where we were supposed to draft around, I would assume. He's probably going to be just like a 65, but he's still good. This Richardson guy is a low elite defenseman. So we could draft Kurt Richardson in the... we could draft him first round. He's supposed to go mid-second round, so I don't think we'll get him. So we could draft him first round if we really want to get another good defensive prospect in. So I say right now it's between Richardson and Newbury as our first rounder. There is another starting goaltender if we really want more goalies unsigned. If we head to Czech Republic, there is Junior Acton, who's supposed to go first round as well. I'd probably prefer the low elite over him, but he's another defensive prospect. Everybody else here is not really worth a first round selection, but some of these guys will be better for the other rounds. Kuda is a low elite. Low elite 2 Ford, listed as a gem. So that's the exact type of player we want. Left wing, right wing for our forward group. We will probably be selecting that guy easily in the 6th round. So that way we don't miss him in the 7th. Great. Okay, so at least there's some low elites in this class. Austria, low top 6 in Sushi. I don't really know if he'll be interesting, but he could be a 2nd round option maybe. Sweden, Stamkos, we don't know enough about still, unfortunately. That's why I would draft interview him. Do I know his ETA? Yeah, I know his ETA for sure. So he's probably a medium top 6, I guess. Those guys are medium 9s. This guy's a guy I can't draft. Yeah, there's not really a lot in Sweden. Finland, there wasn't a lot here either. There is Vance, but what's his ETA? 4 years. If he is a low lead, that'd be great, but I think he's going to be medium 9. Yeah, there's not going to be a lot of crazy late round options, but at least there's a couple low leads and stuff that we could take, which usually tend to develop quite nicely. This guy could be a low lead, but he also is a low 6, maybe 2. He's listed as a 2-year ETA at 19. That's really intriguing. That's really intriguing. I don't know his potential, and I won't be able to get his potential locked in. But, yeah, he could be a very intriguing late round selection as well. Like, we could draft that guy in round 5. So, yeah, Fernandez is an option for sure. Aside from that, anybody else? I don't think so, right? We don't know enough about Tesaugus. All right. So that's briefly the draft class. I'm not going to do any interviews, but I think we have in mind in some players we could pick up. Final things we need to take a look at is the progress reports and contract situation. So progress reports quickly, because this episode is absolutely brutally long. We're getting some really good growth from guys like Bradford, mostly statistical from him. Probably same with Green and all that. But I think our roster is going to be pretty solid next season. I think it's going to be pretty solid again. A lot of these guys are pretty good overalls. And we do have some other bottom 6 options now, too, because Helmer's pretty much NHL ready, too, almost. And then there's Nichols again, of course. In the system, let's see about the players down there. DeFazio is a 72, so he's not even as high as we were thinking. Yeah, we probably will still have to let go of DeFazio, to be honest. He had an okay AHL season, but not great in the playoffs. So I'll just skim through this in case you guys want to see who got growth and who didn't. But Shimmick's up to a 68 at 19, which is pretty good. Gotch is a 71. We'll probably leave Simic unsigned again for another year, maybe? I'm trying to think. It's tough to say. Because if I bring in both Simic and Amboul to the AHL, Gotch one of those guys would have to be scratched. And then I'd have to let go of DeFazio. And also I'd have to let go of Kvapil in that sense. Which I don't know if we should do that or not. So there's that. The final thing is the contract situation. Obviously, we got the big one dealt with Benak, but there is some other guys that might need some bigger contracts too, including McElhaney. Obviously, it would be great to get McElhaney locked up. He is going to be kind of pricey long term, but he is a great young player. And obviously, if we give him the no movement clause, we should be able to get him for cheaper, I think. Yeah, we could probably get him for like 7 million, maybe, because he has the organizational interest. Maybe it's closer to still 7.5. Yeah, it's probably going to still be right around what his asking price is. Like, we could probably have to pay maybe 7.8 around, something like that. But it would be nice to have him locked up if we could. Bradford's also going to need more money. Nakamura's going to need money. But these guys are very useful bottom 6 options, so we're obviously going to be signing them. We could always just qualify them until we obviously want to sign them long term. But yeah, there's going to be a lot of solid options in that bottom 6, I think, now. And I think our team is pretty damn good. And then there's the goalie situation, like I said. I don't know if Amboul is going to pan out, to be honest. 61 at 20 is quite low. DeFazio, like I said, we could easily let go of. Kvapil, I could let go of if we want to sign Simic already for the AHL. So Anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of Europe United Draft to Glory franchise mode. So in next episode, we'll take it to another off season. We'll see what we end up doing in terms of reshaping some of the parts of this team. But I think there's a lot of promise here. It was a decent first round for us to ever make the playoffs. So I'm excited to see how this team continues to build on that. Hopefully next season's a great season again, and we can make it back to the postseason again. So listen down below, and I'll see you guys next time.